Nigeria is partnering American multinational technology Microsoft Corporation, which produces computer software, personal computers, and related services, as it opens first African Development Center in Lagos. The center, which is $100 million investment by the multi-billion-dollar firm, is where software engineering solutions is expected to be provided to Africa. This disclosure is contained in a tweet post by the personal assistant to the president on digital new media, Bashir Ahmed, on his official Twitter account last week. The hub, which was created alongside the one in Nairobi, Kenya, will be the first to be opened in Africa, and it's another sign of the continent's growing importance as a global hub for talent. All right, let's get talking now. Wale Amin is a broadcast digital journalist and covers business and tech beat. Is the author of the book Future Focus. Is also the editor of Pan-African business platform, the exclusive Africa.net. Is also the founder of my Daystream ng.com. Thank you, Wale, for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Okay. I'm sure you've been following up on this particular story. Having Microsoft invested about $100 million US. How did you receive this news?
Yes, so it's a particularly exciting one. It's particularly exciting for me in particular because it just goes to show that we are on the right track. We're on a good trajectory at the moment, and tech in Africa is certainly moving forward. Nigeria also shows that we are gathering confidence in the minds of multinationals and the outside economy, the outside world, and they are beginning to see that yes, Nigeria in particular and Africa in general is a vital and important place to invest in on the long run, because they've also seen that this possibly is the next Silicon Valley that you have in the world. So it's a particularly exciting one that shows that more great things are ahead and they're in store for us.
What is it you suppose or you think that is attracting these technology giant like Microsoft to Nigeria to invest about $100 million US? That's huge.
Yes, it's huge, but it's also reflective of the potentials and the capacities that we carry here. I think to have a good view about that, you only need to just open your tab and go through the news platform, the tech news platforms daily. You see the growing wave of solutions, the growing wave of ideas, the growing wave of young Nigerians, young Africans who are doing great and mighty things, who are moving things, developing solutions, developing ideas, that particularly meet Africa's specific problems, and given the sheer number of our population, Nigeria alone is in the count of about 200 million. So with that number, once you have a solution that meets a good problem that people are willing to pay for, then that's the next place where your business should be located. So that's, for me, is just a simple answer to that. The potential, the business potential that these multinationals are seeing here, and the fact that Africa, like I said, is possibly the next Silicon Valley that you're looking at. I mean, you just need to look at the number of FDI, foreign direct investment that we have been gathering. In particularly, over the last 2 years now, we've seen foreign direct investments, going over the roof, and that's because these people are seeing that solutions are being developed here, and they are seeing also that there's a market here. So nobody wants to be left behind. Everybody wants to eat from the big pie, and that is just it's just a tip of the iceberg, if I dare say so.
You know, another conversation, or I mean, thought that comes into conversation is how to maximize this opportunity. I mean, for a startup to be attracting about 100 million US dollars is not small amount at all. So, like you said, they must have seen something. But again, how can the sector, or the country, maximize this opportunity? Is what next to talk about. So, what are your thoughts about this?
Okay, so I think what we need right now is the right policy framework. We need an enabling environment that would allow these ideas to thrive. I don't want to go into specifics now, but we need the political will that will drive innovation in the tech sector. Like it said, popular saying goes, tech is the new oil, and we only need to just look at it in that line. And when we invest rightly, when we give our young people the appropriate environment to thrive, the policy framework that will enable ideas to thrive, we can only imagine what we will get from it. Let's leave oil. Oil is, we've seen what oil can give us, and it's not been so distributive. But I think tech, because particularly it speaks to the young people. Look at the range of co-founders and co-founders that you have today. What's the age range? You have 20-something-year-olds, you have 30-something-year-olds, very young guys. So this is what speaks to the next generation. And so when the government is able to provide the appropriate and enabling environment, policies are put in place that would help young people, not to scare them away, not to encourage brain drain. We have the cases of young people traveling out there. This is something that we need to stop. This is something that we need to proactively work against, so that our brain, our bright brains stay back here and develop homegrown solutions that will attract foreign direct investment, and our economy will just be better for it.
Yes, of course, we'll talk about right policy framework. We're also going to talk about the market potential of this particular investment. But again, before we get that, let's talk about the policy issue that you talked about earlier. Well, I understand that the National Information Technology Development Agency, which is a NICTA, should be in the forefront of driving growth in the ICT sector, particularly with digital economy, as it were. What's your assessment of this agency in the last 3, 4, 5 years?
That's a tall one. I would say this. I think they are trying their bit. I think they are playing their bit. What I would just say here is that we need to encourage the participant. We need to bring in more informed participants. We don't need all the old minds, spearheading technological drives for us. We need young people. If the young people are good enough to develop solutions that power our problems, that solve our problems, I think they also should be given a place in the place of policy formulation and implementation. So I think I would want to harp on the fact that we need more young people, more tech inclined young people in positions of authority, policy formulation, policy direction, policy implementation. That I think is what the direction we should go.
Well, I want us to take a break quickly. We'll take a short break, and I need you to just stand by or hang on. We'll take a moment to come back with the conversation. Please stay with us. Glad to have you back now. Let's continue the conversation looking at the ICT Development Center and of course, focusing on Microsoft $100 million US dollars investment in Nigeria within the center as well. So Wale Amin is the founder. My data streams is still here. Data streaming is still here. Thank you so much, Mr. Wale. Yes, I was going to ask you, after you talk about, I mean, there has to be some, policy drive for this particular project to thrive well. Let's talk about some of the solutions. Of course, it's targeted at the developing ICT solutions to the rest of African countries. But let's look at some of the solutions in target or in focus here. What are some of the areas you think we will be addressing?
Okay, yeah. So, first and foremost, I think it's a good one that we all can say that Microsoft is particularly as big as they are actually driven by research and development, and I think this is instructive for us, showing that research is the core of their action, and I think it's particularly also good that we are going to be seeing homegrown solutions. More homegrown solutions. You know, before in the past, in the not too distant past, now what you used to have was, somebody sitting down somewhere in California, somebody sitting there in Bangladesh, and writing and developing solutions for African problems. So I think this is particularly great that we are going to see research into challenges that businesses, that companies, that startups face in Africa, in Nigeria, and in Africa generally. And from these, we are going to see solutions being developed, talk about agri, talk about, the center is particularly, the focus there is artificial intelligence, human learning, and
like fintech,
machine learning.
or perhaps energy and other.
Hello?
No, I was saying that you would, look at fintech. You also mentioned agri, and of course, look at energy as well. Apart from AI, artificial intelligence.
Yes. So it's instructed that we are going to see in the nearest future solutions being developed in this area, and it's also instructive because it shows to us the path we are headed. That by the time we have homegrown solutions in this area, we are going to see more productivity.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask you the next question, but let's quickly take a moment and then we'll be back again. So watching Business Breakfast is an interesting one on the show today. We'll be back in a moment. So Wale, just stand by. All right, Wale, let's continue where we stop. Looking at fintech, I mean, what we've seen so far, especially in some of the fintech companies that we have, some of them have generated, over 200 billion or million US dollars in the last 18 months so far. Now, with the coming of Microsoft, how well do you think this market will open up? Yes, Microsoft, of course, is targeting not only fintech, but we're also seeing, like you said earlier, we're also seeing that some other sectors like agri and energy will also be targeted as well. But again, one thing we also need to factor in some of these solutions is that, you know, Nigeria has its own culture as well. So how do we integrate this new innovation in this culture?
Hello.
Yeah, Wale, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Come again.
Yeah, I was asking you the issue of integration. Yes,
Okay.
we've seen a number of fintech companies attracted funds or grants up to the tune of 200 million US dollars, or about 200 billion US dollars altogether in the last 2-3 years. But then again, if you must deepen the market, you also need to factor in integration as well, because there's a problem of culture, a challenge of culture here. So how do you break that barrier?
Okay, so I think that is why this kind of development is a great one here. You know, this, like I said, will be targeted. The main focus here is on research. So I think this is one of the solutions that will be built. You know, where you're going to have software engineers, you're going to have developers. You know, maximizing this same space. You know, to research. To ask questions, and I think by asking questions, the place of integration, you know, really comes in. How do we match this solution to this cultural context? How do we match this particular? How do we solve this particular problem, given the cultural nuances, given the cultural context that you know is in place here? So I think that is why this kind of development, this kind of facility is a great one. Research is going to be built. You know, collaboration is going to be facilitated in such an environment, and from here you're going to see ideas and solutions being built across all sectors. You know, fintech, you know, agri, and all. Building particular solutions, even not just for the Nigerian market. You know, with such a facility, you know, the research is going to be all encompassing. It's going to cut across, you know, all of Africa, you know, as it were, and even globally. So also because we must realize that Nigeria also is not, or Africa is not also an isolated market. It works in tandem with the global industry. So you need to ask questions. How does this relate? How can we merge this that it does, you know, it aligns with what is globally accepted? How do we match this with the standards that is globally accepted? You know, one issue that we've had as per some areas of development is the place of substandard products, substandard ideas or solutions. So with this kind of development, they're going to be looking at how do we maintain standard as well as bringing the cultural context into play here, such that users of this product, users of solutions that are turned out here are well fitting. You know, it's more like round pegs in round holes. You know, as against just building, going somewhere, somebody else somewhere who doesn't understand, you know, the context of the Nigerian context or the African context, you know, just sitting down somewhere and developing a solution. But here, these are going to be Africans, these are going to be Nigerians that are going to be employed. You know, that also comes, you know, brings about the place of employment that this kind of facility is going to generate, you know, which will have a rippling effect on the economy generally. You're going to have our developers being employed. You're going to have software engineers being employed here. So this is also going to play a huge role in that regard.
Well, let me, before I let you go, let's look at this. If you look at the top 5 African countries for their tech development in the last 1 year, particularly in 2022, South Africa is coming in the first place. You look at Kenya in the second place, and Nigeria coming in third place behind Kenya after South Africa. You also have Rwanda and Egypt in that category as well. But then this is a country, of course, that boasts of resources as well. We've attracted, you know, funds in billions of dollars in the last 1 to 3 years. But scaling up again is another issue that we need to look at to become the hub of ICT that we dream of. Now, how closer do you think we're getting to that target of becoming #1 in Africa, or the center of ICT hub in Africa?
Okay, thank you for that question. So I think we are making progress. Like they say, every great journey starts with a step. So I believe we're on the right track. But like I mentioned earlier, I think one of the things that will help us is for us to create an enabling environment, a situation whereby investors are scared that their investments may not be safe because of policy inconsistency from the government, because of an unhealthy environment where startup is not encouraged, where our police stop anyone on the road simply because they carry a laptop or simply because they are dressed in a particular way. I think those are the salient issues we need to address for us to get to where we want to be. We will only grow in as much as our policy allows us. Our economy, our tech economy will only grow as much as these enabling factors allow it. One of the I cite an instance here. I can't remember now. A particular company was while on a foreign trip. Mr. President was actually told that one of the criteria that investors are now looking at is that our electricity has to be stable, and that's what we are saying. A right enabling environment. Take for instance, startups spending thousands and millions. We all know the price of diesel today. We all know the price of diesel petrol today. How much was it just in December? We're buying petrol
this is
about 168 or thereabout per liter.
Yeah.
Now, how much is it? It's going to 200 plus per liter. So those are the things we are looking at. Our government needs to create an enabling environment that will help these startups to grow. That, on the long run, will grow this tech economy, which will take us to where we are looking at in positioning us in possibly maybe the #1 or #2
all right, Wale,
in Africa.
Yeah, I think we need to leave it there now. Thank you for your time. I mean, a whole lot to talk about ICT sector and this particularly this opportunity now that has come to our doorstep. But we want to thank you so much for your time on Business Breakfast. Wale Amin is the founder, My Data Stream. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you.